If you're spending most of your skincare budget on cleansers and moisturizers, I think you're probably doing it backwards. I've spent a ridiculous amount of money on skincare, and what I've learned is that where you spend your money matters far more than how much you spend. So in this video, I want to talk about where I'd save and where I'd spend a little bit more, and 3 splurge products that are currently in my rotation that you might want to have on your radar. Fair warning, one of these products is 100 quid, and annoyingly, I think it's one of the few skincare products I use that's actually worth every penny. If we haven't met, hello, I'm Kirk. I'm training to be an advanced esthetician, and the mission on this channel is to help people over 30 look less tired and age in a healthier way, and just feel better about themselves. Before I share where you can cut back and the 3 products I think are worth splurging on, it goes without saying that none of this really matters if you haven't got a basic skincare routine dialed in. And by that, I mean in the morning, cleanse, treat, moisturize, SPF, and in the evening, cleanse, treat, moisturize. And if you're not wearing SPF, start there. If you're spending money on skincare but skipping SPF, it's a bit like standing under a shower and trying to dry yourself with a hairdryer at the same time. Not going to work. If all of this sounds like too much to think about and you can't be bothered, I've made a free unsponsored guide linked down below that will work for most people over 30 who want to look less tired and fresher, and it requires at least 6 weeks of consistency, but you'll get the best results from about 2 months to 3 months onwards. Right, let's start by ranking the steps from where your money goes the furthest to the least furthest. Your money goes the furthest on treatment products, then SPF, then moisturizer, and then cleanser. Let's start at the bottom. Cleansers. Now, cleansers are important, and regularly cleansing your face is one of the best things you can do after SPF to level up the look and feel of your skin. Their job is to remove dirt, oil, SPF, and whatever else has built up throughout the day. Can expensive cleansers feel nicer to use? Absolutely. I've been using the Skin Rocks cleansing balm, which hopefully will come into focus in just a second. Come on, there we go. I've been using this Skin Rocks cleansing balm, and I really like it. It leaves my skin feeling hydrated and supple after using it, and it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite cleansers, and is brilliant for sensitive skin. And it also kicks the shit out of this Omritzver's cleansing balm. If it's going to come into focus, I don't know. There we go. This Omritzver thermal cleansing balm, which works out to be over double the price at £70 for 50ml. But this, and as I say, I've got 2 of them because I like it so much. One empty one and then another one here. Which I'm using at the moment, but it still works out to be £58 for 100ml. And if you compare it to, say, this Skin 1004 cleansing oil, which is around £16 for 200ml, which is significantly cheaper, I think it can start to be a bit hard to justify spending the money on this. Do I think Skin Rocks is a brilliant cleansing balm? Absolutely. Can I justify having it as a staple in my routine all of the time? I'm not so sure. For me, it's a product I'll splurge on occasionally and will really enjoy it when I do. As I say, I've absolutely been loving it. But if you need to manage your skincare budget, this is a great place to do it. Cleansers are an area where I think most people can save money without sacrificing results. So it's definitely a luxury purchase in my eyes. But I'm willing to bet cleansers aren't where most people waste money. Moisturizer is. This might be controversial to some of you, but I think most people spend too much money on moisturizers and not enough money on the serums in their treatment step. Now, don't get me wrong, moisturizers are important and really nice to use. But I think especially people who are newer to skincare often put too much emphasis on them instead of thinking about their routine as a whole or their routine holistically. Some people with very oily skin, particularly in warmer climates, will probably find they need a lot less moisturizer than they think, but it's still important to use. Once you've found a moisturizer that keeps your skin comfortable, hydrated, and happy, splurging for Augustina's Bader's Rich Cream at £250 for 50ml, or La Mer's Moisturizing Soft Cream, which is £305 for 60ml, seems absolutely bonkers to me. I've got Fitzpatrick 3 combination skin with slight sensitivity, and an exceptional moisturizer and at an acceptable price for me is Astura's Atto Barrier 365 cream. It's not the cheapest moisturizer out there at around £26 for 80ml. I personally go for CeraVe's moisturizing cream, which, if it will come into focus, there you go. Yeah, their moisturizing cream. If I was looking for the rock bottom cheapest moisturizer that still delivers results, comes in a cream like this, which is slightly thicker, or it also comes in a lotion form. I've got it to hand actually, it's in the other room, but it's a lot larger, thinner tube. It'll pop up on the screen if you prefer something lighter. But if you're looking for the absolute rock bottom, I'd go for one of those, and it still delivers the results. But for me and most people I've spoken with, this Astura moisturizing cream delivers exceptional results. Whenever my skin is irritated, inflamed, or my barrier feels a bit compromised, it's the one I keep coming back to. They do keep changing the formulation and not telling anyone, so you need to be careful of that. But with all of that said, I'd still rather save money on my moisturizer than on my treatment products, because for most people, that's where the biggest visible improvements are going to come from. That, and of course, consistency. The next category is SPF. This is where I'm much happier spending a little bit more money if my budget allows it. Not because a more expensive SPF automatically gives you better protection, but because the best SPF is the one you'll actually wear. I've got a deep dive SPF video coming out next week, which I'll pop up here when it's released, but I often find that slightly more expensive ones, that's SPFs, feel nicer on the skin and are easier to wear every day, which in my book is money well spent. For me, the sweet spot in terms of affordability, but also a really nice formulation to use, and you'll have seen a lot of people talk about this, but there's a reason for it, is the Beauty of Joseon. Again, I can get it to, there we go, it's in focus. Yeah, the Beauty of Joseon's Relief Sun, sorry, let me say that again. Both the Relief Sun Rice Probiotics and the Aquafresh Rice Plus B5 are sunscreens I've been really happy with combination skin. This one's better for people with slightly drier skin. I've got combinations, so I use both depending on the mood that I'm in. But I really, really like these, and I'm really happy with them. They're really nice to apply, and they just don't feel like sunscreen. And whilst they're not the rock bottom cheapest out there, I don't think the price is crazy at £12 for 50ml. If you do, that's completely fine. Watch that video I've got coming out next week where I talk about all the different SPFs and sunscreens I've been using recently. I've been trying some ultraviolet sunscreens, which are probably at the higher end of SPF. And whilst they've been nice to apply to the face, and they're actually one of my favorite SPFs, I think, if money was no object, I personally hadn't found them to be worth the extra money. They seem to disappear surprisingly quickly, which actually pisses me off a bit, especially with this one, because I think they sell it irresponsibly and with such a small amount. So when I compare the price to something like these Beauty of Joseon ones, I actually struggle to think about it being right to pay the extra money for them. They're definitely not bad products, and I actually think they're one of the best, but I suppose it's all relative to where you actually want to spend your money. But absolutely, the best SPF is the one you'll wear every day. The second best SPF is the one you can afford to keep replacing, which is why the Beauty Joseon wins for me. And finally, we get to treatment products. This is where I think most of the visible results come from. Whether you're trying to improve pigmentation, texture, acne, signs of aging, redness, or you simply want to look fresher and less tired, This is usually where I'd invest the largest chunk of my budget, so long as I'm going to be consistent and I'm cleansing regularly and using SPF. These aren't the only products worth splurging on, but they're 3 premium products I use for a good while now and would happily spend my own money on again. And just to be clear, they're products I've purchased with my own money. None of them have been gifted or sponsored. I'm not getting any kind of commercial incentive from talking about them. So the first one we got to talk about is the Sunday Riley Good Jeans. If I can get it into focus, there we go. So this is £70 for 30ml. So it definitely isn't an everyday recommendation. But if I've got an event coming up or a wedding, a date night, or I'm just looking particularly rough, this is one of those products I reach for. I use it once, maybe twice a week in the evening around my Tretinoin days. And it's one of the fastest acting products I have in my skincare arsenal. It's an exfoliator, so it's getting rid of all of those dead skin cells, and my skin looks brighter, smoother, and generally more awake the following morning without fail. It's actually pretty surprising what an impact this has on my skin. I've also found it's been great for smoothing out congestion and making my skin look calmer. It's definitely expensive, but I completely understand why it's got the reputation that it does and why people keep buying it. I tried it when I was wandering around the Sunday Riley counter at Liberty for the first time, tried it on my hand. I genuinely thought it made my hand look fresher and better and look smoother afterwards. I tried it again another time when I was wandering around Liberty, and I thought, I've just got to splurge and get this product, and I'm really glad that I did. Next is Neod's Copper Amino Isolate Serum 3-to-1-1, which, is just coming into focus now. So it's around £70 for 30ml. So again, it's definitely not cheap. Before using this, I was actually using The Ordinary's multi-peptide and copper peptide. Is it going to come in? There we go. Yeah, this serum. And I still think this one, The Ordinary one, is excellent value. But when Neod had a sale, I decided to give this a go. And now I'm really struggling with the idea of going back to The Ordinary one. What I really like about this product is just how lightweight it is. I drop it on my skin and my skin just drinks it up, and it almost just sinks in instantly. And it doesn't leave any tackiness behind, and it layers really well with anything else I'm using as part of my routine. Unlike Good Jeans, which gives me a noticeable boost the following morning, I found the benefits from this a little bit more gradual, but I can confidently say that over time using this, my skin is healthier, fresher, and less tired. And I've been particularly happy with the impact it's had around the line I've got on my forehead and some of my crow's feet. Now, could I have got a similar result from the Ordinary version for less money? Maybe. But I've been using the Ordinary version for about 4 to 5 months before switching over to this one. And I genuinely felt that there was a noticeable step up. But if the Neo formula is out of your budget and you don't have a copper peptide in your routine, go with this one from the Ordinary, because it's really, really good. I know Remedy as well have just released a new copper peptide. I haven't tried it yet. I might order it soon and give it a go, so I can't comment on it. I know because I really like the brand. I would imagine that would be a good, more affordable one. But I can vouch for this Ordinary one and say that the Ordinary copper peptide one is brilliant, even though the Neod version of it is better. And as you can probably see, I'm getting towards the end of it, and this is my second bottle. I'm really struggling with the idea of going back to the Ordinary. Third up is Medicaid Sleep Glycolic, which is £39 for 30ml. Now, I've tried using the Ordinary's glycolic acid on my face before, and I really didn't like it. My face screamed. I found this really irritating, and it just wasn't very nice to use. And I actually had to wash it off pretty soon after applying it because my face got all itchy and blotchy, and it just wasn't very nice. I was a little bit worried, actually. So I was apprehensive when it came to trying out another glycolic on my face. But this product from Medicaid is a completely separate kettle of fish. My skin tolerates this really well. It doesn't hurt or feel itchy or blotchy, and it has a really good and strong impact on how my skin looks. I probably use this about once a week to once every couple of weeks, but that's because I'm also using the lactic acid from Sunday Riley. I also use tretinoin quite a bit, and you don't want to over exfoliate your skin. And of course, all of these are exfoliators. But when I use this one around my tretinoin routine, I find that it consistently leaves my skin looking fresher and more polished the following day. I think between the two, I very just slightly prefer Sunday Riley's good genes overall. I think just that exfoliation is a bit better, and I just like the way my skin looks the following day. But I wouldn't want to be without the Medicate glycolic acid as part of my arsenal, because at the end of the day, they serve different purposes, and I would rather spend money on things that actually move the needle. If you found this video useful, consider liking, subscribing. Thanks for watching, and YouTube thinks you'll like the video up here. Thanks, and I'll see you there.